The fatal shooting of American conservative activist Charlie Kirk in Utah is being described as a political assassination. But is this incident yet another sign of worsening political violence in the U.S.? Javed Ali is a former FBI official and now an associate professor of practice at the University of Michigan. He says there is little doubt this killing was politically motivated.
Based on the facts as we know them, and there are clearly other things we don't, it certainly seems that tragically what happened yesterday is a political assassination or politically motivated violent action. And this is just the latest in a long string of these attacks that we've seen in the United States over the past decade plus. There's also a longer pattern of these in U.S. histories, but if your viewers remember, there were two attempts on President Trump's life last year when he was a candidate. And one of those persons, Thomas Crooks, a young man, got on top of a roof at a political rally and shot him from a distance and killed another person and injured two others. So this seems to be the same kind of model. Now, we don't know who the shooter is, but it's the same type of attack. And whether that attack influenced this particular shooter's thinking, that's just a question we don't have the answer to right now.
So in that vein, Javed, are you concerned that political violence is actually on the rise, given what we have seen, and also point to a Reuters study that documents 300 cases of politically motivated violent acts since the attack on the U.S. Capitol in 2021?
Well, there's certainly been an increase in these attacks over the last few years in the United States, but this phenomena ebbs and flows in times too throughout our country's history. And so again, even though there's sort of a recency bias here with the most recent and visible and high-profile things and the awful murder of Charlie Kirk, but if you take your historical lens out in the U.S., there are probably similar moments where you have similar sort of increased levels of activity. So it's really hard to say that whatever we're seeing now is the peak of that curve historically, but it's certainly anytime one of these things happens, it's a terrible tragedy, and trying to now find out who did it, because there's a manhunt underway and this person has not been apprehended. That's going to be the most important step for the FBI, a former organization, state and local law enforcement in Utah, and perhaps other partners in the region.
Yes, and given where this attack happened, presumably lots of cameras around, how soon do you think before the perpetrator is captured?
Yeah, this is another really tough question. And from what has come out so far, that it appears the perpetrator was on the roof of one of the buildings and had a clear line of sight to where Charlie Kirk was sitting, even though he was under a tent, but there was no physical protection around him that would have prevented a long-range shot that occurred. So, what security camera footage on the university campus can be studied. The movement of this person, wherever they are now, whether in Utah or the surrounding area, is there other evidence that could be brought to bear, sort of cell phone coverage, other video coverage? Was this person on the internet or using social media? These are all things that the investigators are now going to have to look for, but they don't even know, at least from what we can tell publicly, who they're looking for, and whether there's a person of interest or a possible suspect. Those are all things the investigators are racing against the clock to find out right now.
Javed, in the U.S., if one was either a conservative or a liberal public figure speaking or wanting to speak in public, would they be thinking twice now?
Yeah, this is another really tough issue that folks who are political figures and public figures have to think about, because from what it appears, even Charlie Kirk, he had a private security team. He was sitting under that tent. Apparently, there was that security team was very close to him, because they were probably thinking about people who are trying to get as close as they could to Charlie Kirk to then potentially do something. I mean, that's why you have the president has Secret Service agents around him, and other important people have that kind of close-in protection. But trying to protect someone speaking publicly from a long-range shot from several hundred yards or a few hundred yards away, that is a really, really difficult threat to manage. And how do you buy down that kind of risk And I mean, it's hard enough for the Secret Service trying to protect the President of the United States. There are a lot more people who are public figures on whatever their political persuasion is, and they're going to have to think about this now if there is some sort of elevated risk of these types of threats or attacks here in the United States.
Yes. So what does this then tell us, about the state of polarization in the U.S., given what you and many have said that this was a political assassination? And does it help that even at this early stage that Donald Trump is already blaming what he says is the radical left?
Well, I think the best thing that could happen in our country is for sort of kind of the voices of reason to be out there and sort of promoting calm and paying respects to Charlie Kirk and his family for what they're going through, but kind of stoking the partisan flames right now, that may just get more people mobilized and animated on these opposite sides of the political spectrum. And if they're angry already, but potentially now eager to conduct some kind of retaliatory attack or revenge attack, even acting as lone individuals, because I don't think this person, whoever killed Charlie Kirk, was operating on behalf of a group. Almost all of these attacks, these politically motivated attacks, are carried out by lone individuals. So this is something that hopefully the rhetoric in the country calms down, and now it's a case of letting the investigators and the FBI figure out who conducted this attack and bring that person to justice.
Okay, Javed Ali, always appreciate your insights and analysis. Thank you so much.
All right, Garish, thank you.